In case you didn't know, Gaijin has just released a new game that I was actually interested in, Aces of Thunder. You might think this is just a copy-paste of War Thunder for $30, and you would be absolutely right. However, this game had a very specific sales pitch. Only aircraft, first-person view, no mouse aim, tailor-made for VR with motion controls. That last part is what makes it stand out and what made me so interested. In order for you to understand why motion controls are so important, I need to show you VTOL VR, a game that came out in 2017 and did something that nobody has done before. It's a VR flight simulator that allows you to do the thing that many people have been dreaming about for years. You can fly the plane and interact with the cockpit with just your hands alone, no joysticks required. Every plane in that game has a very detailed and fully interactable cockpit, with countless buttons, knobs, and tumblers that all do something, and even if you don't know what they do, you can still play with them, because it's immersive, because it's fun. When it comes to controlling the plane, you grab the flight stick and throttle with your virtual hands, and while it might sound awkward, VTOL VR actually makes it work incredibly well, and you would be surprised how easy it is to take off and fly in that game. Not only do the motion controls work well, the game also cares about your comfort. You can adjust the position of both sticks and your pilot seat. Flying with just your hands in VR is genuinely an amazing experience, and I highly recommend you guys try this game if you get a chance. And it's not just a tech demo either. It has a campaign, standalone missions, a fully fledged multiplayer mode, and get this, they even have multi-crew vehicles as DLC. Those planes and the attack helicopter can be flown together with a friend, and it's as amazing as it sounds. And so, Gaijin decided to make the same game but with World War II aircraft. $30 for the game, no grind and no premiums. Just you in VR controlling the plane with your hands. And after about 3 years of development, it came out. And it sucks. Let's start with its main and only selling point, the motion controls. You start the game and it looks promising. You do control everything with your hands, and even though operating that tiny menu with your huge fingers is as awkward as it sounds, the concept works. Then you get into a plane, excited to play with all the things in the cockpit, and the reality hits you like a truck. There is nothing to play with. Yes, the cockpits are well made, but almost nothing is interactable. The only things you can actually grab with your hands are the flight stick, the throttle, the flap control, and the gear control. That's it. This sucks. Only someone truly insane would make a game with motion controls and detailed cockpits, and then give you nothing to play with. What's there isn't great either. The small levers like flaps and gear are super awkward to try and grab, and only the flight stick has a reliable hitbox, and even that one has problems. This is me firing the guns with just my magic finger. Turns out you don't actually need to be grabbing the flight stick to shoot. All you need to do is hold the trigger on the VR controller. Very cool. And this is me controlling the flight stick with my mind. You don't actually need to hold it with your hand, as it is also bound to a joystick on top of the VR controller. What about the rudder? You don't have feet tracking in VR, so what do? Well, flight sim joysticks usually allow you to twist them left and right to control the rudder, and VTOL VR also allows you to do that. This game though? Of course not. Rudder is bound to a joystick on the left VR controller, which also controls the throttle. So if you want to swing your nose, get ready to kill your engine on accident. Actually, flying with your hands feels insanely inconsistent. Sometimes the virtual stick is nice and responsive, and sometimes it feels like it has a mind of its own and blocks your inputs. I have no idea what causes it, but it feels awful. Remember how I mentioned being able to adjust the sticks and the seat in VTOL VR? Well, in Aces of Thunder, you can't do any of that. You either find a perfect position IRL, which could be impossible for some of the planes, or you cope. Gaijin doesn't know how to do quality of life features. And once you realize that the main selling point of this game, the VR experience with motion controls, is a complete disaster, this whole thing instantly falls apart, as it has nothing else to offer except more problems. Let's talk about the content. War Thunder has air, ground, and naval modes, split into arcade, realistic, and simulator submodes. Technically, there are also helicopters and infantry, which is coming soon. Aces of Thunder is essentially just the air realistic mode from the first-person perspective. I say that because you play on small-ish ARB maps instead of the huge EC maps which War Thunder uses for its simulator mode. What about the planes? After all, there are hundreds of World War II props in War Thunder. Well, in Aces, you get the 5 big nations: US, UK, USSR, Germany, and Japan. And each has 4 planes to choose from. 4. This is actual insanity. These planes are copy-pasted from War Thunder, and there is only 4 of them per nation. Are you out of your mind? And you know what's even worse? The DLC. If you thought you were safe from premiums in this game, think again. The only way to get more planes to fly is to purchase the Deluxe Edition for $45. Now, you remember how in VTOL VR, the DLC allows you to fly multi-crew aircraft with your friends? That's pretty awesome. You know what you get in Aces? You get more copy-pasted planes from War Thunder. And in War Thunder, these planes aren't even premiums. You can fly all of them for free. But here, if you want more than just 4 planes per nation, you gotta go premium. Oh yeah, and since I touched on the multi-crew feature, no, it's not present in this game at all. Heavy bombers aren't playable, and planes that do have gunners do not allow you to actually control the gunners. Okay, so there are barely any planes you can fly, so what about the game modes? As for single player, there are 9 campaign-style missions with an AI voiceover, and 14 standalone missions where you spawn in the air and have to kill things in front of you. There are also custom missions which allow you to fight AI on any map of your choosing. These modes are nothing special, but are good enough for simple fun, if you enjoy the gameplay, that is. Where Gaijin fails once again, like they failed with War Thunder, is in tutorials. Hey Gaijin, remember this thing I said 2 years ago?
Air combat simulators need to teach players air combat mechanics. This isn't CSGO, everyone knows how to play FPS games, but air combat is something that needs to be explained with examples and instructions.
With this game being a dedicated flight sim, it was more important than ever to include a proper set of tutorials to teach new players how to control aircraft and the basics of air combat. And this game does have a tutorial mission. This mission, however, somehow managed to be even worse than the air tutorials in War Thunder. I kid you not, all you do is fly through designated circles in the air and then land on the airfield. They don't explain anything, not a single thing. You don't even get a training dogfight, or shoot balloons, or at least ground targets. Gaijin just doesn't care about the simplest quality of life features. This kind of approach is just wild to me. As for the multiplayer, well, I would love to tell you something about it, but I've ran into some issues. When I tried using the matchmaker, it gave me a connection error every single time I queued up. I have absolutely no idea if it works at all. You can also create or join custom lobbies, but every single lobby I saw was either 2 friends dueling each other with a 2-player limit, or big lobbies, which I also couldn't join because the game was already in progress. Considering that this game has 200 concurrent players at the time of recording, I do not recommend you buy this for multiplayer, as it is very likely you will not be able to find a single lobby in a few months. I don't recommend you to buy this in general, but, you know. What I can tell you about is the rest of the problems. While the performance of this game is good, as it is essentially just War Thunder, it also kept stuttering at random during gameplay. I think it had something to do with planes getting hit and destroyed, but I'm not sure. The issue with Aces just being War Thunder is that, let's be honest, it looks bad for a 2026 game. These visuals would be good in 2015, but these days they just don't cut it. The cockpits do look great, but everything around you is a blur. Trying to distinguish individual targets on the ground is torture, and the terrain itself looks like something out of early 2000s. The game overall looks like mud, and a big part of it is anti-aliasing. Just like War Thunder, this game has massive problems with anti-aliasing. If you disable it, everything looks super jagged. And if you enable it, TAA covers your entire screen in grease and blur. The only solution to make it look acceptable is to run it at a higher resolution, which you might not be able to do due to the performance hit. Now, many modern games allow you to solve this problem with DLAA, but not Aces of Thunder. This 2026 title somehow has no NVIDIA features at all. No DLSS, no DLAA, no reflex. How? What happened? Even War Thunder itself has those, but not this game. NVIDIA is absolutely killing it with DLSS 4.5 these days, and yet for some reason Gaijin decided not to include it in their brand new game, where performance and visual clarity are extremely important. I have no idea what they're doing at this point. Now, you can also play this game without VR in flat screen mode. I haven't tried that myself, but judging by all the forum posts, it's not a great experience either. And get this. Aces of Thunder does not support Track IR. This 2026 flight simulator doesn't support head tracking, one of the most important flight sim features. Awesome. So at this point, why even play this game instead of War Thunder? Sure, in War Thunder you need to unlock the planes to fly them, but comparatively, that's the only downside. War Thunder has 100 times more content, supports VR, supports head tracking, looks better, and actually has NVIDIA features to help with anti-aliasing. But most importantly, it has a big player base, which ensures that you will always be able to find someone to play with, which is not the case with this game. Now that I think about it, there is actually no reason to buy Aces of Thunder. If you have a VR headset, you can instead spend those $30 on VTOL VR and have a much better, more user-friendly experience with infinitely more features. If you don't care about motion controls, you can just play War Thunder. Spending money on Aces gets you nothing. In fact, those $30 give you much less than you would get for free in the main game. So tell me, Gaijin, who is this game for? Why did you even make it? I get that you were trying to recreate the success of VTOL VR, but then where are all the motion control features? This game has been in development for 3 years, and all you managed to do was make the stick, the throttle, the flaps, and gear interactable. Everything else you lifted straight from War Thunder, and even then, you only gave us 4 copy-paste planes per nation, with even more copy-paste as DLC. And you know, this sucks. I really wanted Aces of Thunder to be something good, as I followed its development up until release, because the concept itself is great. But the execution is the definition of the bare minimum. As it stands right now, this game, at best, could be a $10 early access title. The current price of $30, or god forbid $45 for the deluxe edition, is absolute insanity, considering all the problems and the amount of content you get. Stay away from this game for your own good. Alright, monthly recap. There's actually not much to talk about, but I do appreciate all my Patreon supporters sticking with me during these 2 months of no content. There have been absolutely no interesting developments to talk about when it comes to the game itself, but I do have a very special video planned after this one. It's yet more drama, just the way you like it. Either way, I appreciate you sticking around until the end, and I will catch you in the next video.